Let's get on with the details of those stories now. A section of the National Rapid Deployment Force of the Ghana Police Service has cleared close to 100 Sudanese refugees from the UNHCR premises here in Accra. The group has been protesting for nearly 40 days against the UNHCR's for refusal to issue their refugee document and poor conditions at refugee camps they refer to, which is located in the Western region. JoyNews' Henry Kwesi Bedu and Kellyanne Seyo were at the offices of the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. Here are highlights.
If you hit your father, somebody don't get it like that. He hit my father one day, he hit him at the back. That's not good. See my father how he fought down there. Where's my sister? See the hands. See the hands. See the hands. See the blood. See the blood how he comes. He hit her. That is good.
What are you doing?
We came here, we have a consent. We wrote and we are submitted to the UNHCR. So our concern is, so normally we have accommodation challenges, and that means we refugees, Sudanese refugees, were living in two different locations. Some of us, they're living in the Western region, Christian refugee camp, and some of us, they're living in Accra. We demand that those who are living in Accra to send them to the Western region in the Christian refugee camp so that we can live together. And also another thing that, so in the camp, we don't have job opportunities, and also we don't have food supply. We are asking them to supply for us food, or either to find for us a job to work and provide food for our children. And also we have a health challenge. So that means in Ghana, if you have health insurance, you can be treated in any hospital. But all the drugs cannot be covered with the health insurance. So there is some of the drugs you have to buy or you have to cover from your pocket. And we don't have money. We are demanding that the money which is not covered by health insurance, UNHCR at least have to cover for us. And they said no. And also they said that they cannot find for us the food, job opportunities, all of these things they cannot do. So after we keep long time here, what they're telling us, like they hand over to the police. Our case, they are hand over to the police. And what we know that Ghana police, they're in charge of the security, not in charge of giving food or supply water or something, all of these things. It's still the UNHCR in charge of our demands. So we are not moving from here until we have to see how they are going to cover our demands. That's the problem. And then we really appreciate the police, but also there's another problem. Police, they are forced, they push some of our pregnant ladies. One of our pregnant sister, the policeman is pushed and fall down. Now she's in very difficult condition. And also one of our brother, he's an elderly person. Also, so policeman push him, he fall down, and now he's in very difficult condition. Even he cannot breathe well. All of these problems, now we are in very difficult condition. And what they're telling us that, yes, we have to pack up in the car to leave this place. So if we pack up in the car and we left this place, so who is going to feed our children? Who is going to cover all of these things? And it's still another demand we have it to the GRV, that is mean Ghana Refugee Board. So we need the Ghana Refugee Board to proceed for us to interview and the documents and the status, all of these things. So it is very important for us that the refugee have to have a status. If you have a status, that means you can have job opportunities to work, and also a lot of things you can be provided by UNHCR and legally. If you have a status, that means you are staying in Ghana legally as refugee. But you don't have any status, that means it's very difficult. So we ask them to give us a status and start doing an interview for the refugees. They keep more than 4 years and 3 years, they are not doing all of these things. And we could not understand what is going on.
The Ghana Refugee Board wrote to the Inspector General of Police regarding the unauthorized residence of some refugees from Sudan. And subsequently, they came here, they were here, that is on the 26th November. Since 26th November, they have been here, causing nuisance and posing security threat. As you can see, we have the American Peace Corps located very close to us here, and then this Kuwait Embassy, which is also another vital installation, a lot of residents around here. And these Sudanese refugees, numbering almost about 40 to 50, are here, some of them sleeping on the streets, making some demands including shelter, food, health, among others. They petition, and as you can see, the UNHCR representative spoke to them that they have assistance that they can offer, but they cannot meet all their challenges. However, there's a designated place for them at Christian camp, that's the refugee camp in the western region. So they were advised to relocate to where it is designated for them so that the other concerns will be addressed. They refused. I personally have been here for more than 5 times just to talk to them, advise them on their own to leave the place to bring about peace and sanity. They refused. So today we are mandated to come here and ensure that we peacefully evacuate them to where they are expected to be, that the refugee camp, so that the rest of the concerns will be picking up by the relevant authorities. So that's exactly what we are doing. Yes. And I made sure that I educated my men very well of the fundamental human rights. And of course, we did so. But however, we have seen some recalcitrant ones who are difficult. The leaders that we expect that will speak to their people to understand that we have rules and regulations governing us in the country, they were rather not cooperating with the police. So at least we had to use minimum, I say it again, we used minimum force to get the leaders in. And that is what we did, and virtually the rest had to follow. It was our expectation that after engaging them in a conversation, for them to understand the need for them to be at where they are supposed to be filled, we have to use at least some minimum force. So when we're able to get the leaders who are expected that they will speak to their people, they will understand them, because the leaders, they are expected to speak to them to their understanding. But they were rather proving difficult. They were rather posing challenges to us. So as such, under the law, we've got the mandate to ensure that we use minimum force to ensure that they get to their destination safely.
So that's what happened this morning at the UNHCR headquarters here in Accra. I have in the studio with me Tete Paddy. He's the programs coordinator for the Ghana Refugee Board. Mr. Paddy, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. You've seen what happened there. We've heard what the police said. We've also heard what the people say. We'll have a conversation about the kind of force that the police used momentarily. But before that, how did we get here? How did these people get into this country?
Right. So these are Sudanese asylum seekers and refugees who have crossed all the countries that they had to go across to get to Accra.
Okay, tell us these countries. What are these countries?
Well, some of them use different routes. Some of them have come through Chad, going through Cameroon, Nigeria, and then obviously Benin, Togo before they get to Ghana. Okay. And so Ghana basically is their destination. Okay. And they have come here to seek refuge because there are disturbances in their country. So that's the main reason why they've come here. Okay, because, and I asked that question because the police referred to a letter that was written to them from the Refugees Board, stating that their residency there was unauthorized. What does that really mean? Because if I'm a refugee and I'm looking for refuge, I move around and I look for a country that would take me in, and I come in. How do you refer to their presence here as unauthorized residency? Well, first of all, we have laws in this country. And you know that, for instance, if any group of people want to assemble, they need to inform the police, give them notice so that the police provide protection and whatever else will be needed. These are a group of refugees who have not informed the police under the Public Law Order Act. They've not informed the police, and they've assembled there. First of all. Secondly, that area, as the police said, is a residential area. They're eating there, they're sleeping there, they're taking their bath there, they're easing themselves there. They're right in front of the UNHCR office. That cannot be acceptable. Apart from that, there is a designated refugee camp for them. And so clearly, if you have grievances, by all means, air those grievances. That you cannot assemble illegally and stay in a place that you.
But first of all, what's the process? If I'm a refugee from another country, and you say it's clear that they moved all the way from Sudan, crossed all these countries that you've mentioned, about 4 or 5 or so, and then got to Ghana, which means, as you're saying, they wanted to come to Ghana.
Precisely.
What will be ordinarily, what would have been the process? Once they get into Ghana, where do they go? And was this known to them?
Yes, it's known to them. Some of them have been here in fact, some of them have come from the Christian camp to come and protest. Okay. Majority of them have come from the Christian camp to come and protest. Okay. The procedure is for them to approach the Ghana Refugee Board. We register them initially, and then we schedule them for interviews. Once they've been interviewed and their case is assessed, and we do a very thorough investigation into the claims that they make. Once the assessment has been done, they're then either granted refugee status or the application is declined. And then they have the opportunity to apply to the Minister for the Interior, who takes the final decision. Okay. So that's the procedure for getting the refugee.
Okay, so you say that this procedure is known to them. Some of them have actually left Western region where there is a camp for them to come here to protest. You've spoken about the process, but then they say it's taking about 3 to 4 years for that process to run. What is the typical timeline?
Again, it's important that we clarify that many of them have actually gone through the whole process. There are a few of them whose refugee status determination has delayed. Mm-hmm. And this is mainly because we have challenges with our human resource. We don't have enough eligibility officers who will take them through the interviews and the assessments. Having said that, we have applied for financial clearance to recruit. And so that is how we are addressing the delay in the refugee status determination process.
Okay, so again, the timeline will ordinarily, typically, ideally be what?
Well, the prescription is for 3 months for the whole process to be completed. But it is true that some of them have been here for a number of years.
3 to 4 years, that's quite huge if you compare to the couple of months that you mentioned.
That is correct. Again, it is not only Sudanese refugees, that is not to justify it, but it's not only Sudanese refugees who have to wait for a certain period, for a length of time before they are granted refugee status or declined, for that matter. Yes, and we are very much aware that the delay is not acceptable, or we shouldn't delay that much. And so that's the reason why we are also taking steps to make sure that we address that delay.
Is recruiting the only way you can deal with this delay?
Well, the only way to go through the process, and we cannot jump the steps, we have to actually take them through the proper procedure to be sure that the people that we are recognizing as refugees indeed deserve to be recognized as refugees, because it has security implications. Anybody can come into the country and claim refugee status, demand it, and then have other agenda.
They mentioned food, job opportunities, saying that this is why they went to the UNHCR. They said they were there to tell them that they've been at the Western Region camp. They've not had, they've had issues with food, job opportunities. They want this to be done quickly. Basically, the reason they came here is the delays. And they're also adding that they don't even have food, they don't even have jobs. But until you give them the status, they cannot get those.
It's interesting that they focus on the delay, but I can tell you that the main aim is to attract enough attention for them to be sent abroad. Now,
why do you say that? Because
we've worked with them for so long, we know that whenever they're making these demands, we know where they're heading towards.
Okay. That
is not to justify delays in recognizing them as refugees or otherwise. With respect to food, UNHCR's budgeting is such that It's the chunk of the money now goes to areas that they consider as emergency areas or emergency situations. You know about situations, the Syrian situation, you know what's happening in other parts of Africa. Ghana is not considered as an emergency situation, and so the funding keeps reducing. What rather has happened is that funding has gone towards livelihood activities, skills training, to encourage them or to help them get a skill and then be able to fend for themselves. And so skills training has been going on for all refugees for a number of years now. Unfortunately, some refugees have not taken advantage of it. One other thing they ask for is education. The only category of refugees that I am aware of who have access to free compulsory universal basic education and lately free senior high school is refugees. I don't know of any other foreigners who have access to that. We also assist them if they qualify for tertiary education to pay local fees. A few of them have access to a scholarship scheme that is run by the UNHCR and sponsored by the German government. And so these facilities are available for them in education. For health, they have access to national health insurance, the National Health Insurance Scheme. Again, it is at the same level as Ghanaians. We cannot expect, the aim is to provide them services that are available to Ghanaians. And so we cannot, they cannot demand to be given more than the people who live in this country.
Well, if you say that, because what they're basically demanding is that you fast track the process so that they can get the status, which then allows them to work or go to school or do all of these things. So now that you're here, help us. What is the timeline? The police has been able to clear them. What is the timeline? Within what period of time will they be able to attain
Before I answer your question, it's important that I make it clear that we consider persons who have registered, we consider them as persons of concern. They have access to education, they have access to health. So it is not true that...
so you don't need to be given the status before you can access these essential services if you are registered?
That is correct. As soon as you are registered, you have access to health and you have access to education. And so that assertion cannot be true.
Okay. So what's the timeline now? Between now and when will they get their status?
Having said that, we've put measures into place to speed up the process. We are discussing with our partners to implement what we call the sort of a fast track refugee status determination. And so once we settle on that, we'll be able to speed up some of the interviews and the assessment.
So can you give us a timeline within which?
It is difficult for me to give a timeline. I mean,
a rough idea.
I cannot give a timeline.
Say a month. I mean, you've been doing this for so long, and I remember speaking to you when I was a beginner in journalism. I mean, you've been doing this for so long, so you should be able to have an idea.
I don't know what you mean by a timeline, because we have other nationals. We have several refugees.
I get that. I get that. What I'm asking is that between now and when, let's say a month or two, would this be able to, will you be able to go through these processes and get these people, if you're giving them refugee status, fine. If not, can we?
I honestly find it very difficult to give you a timeline.
Is it that difficult?
It is
Maybe
difficult.
I don't understand your kind
because,
of job.
Because the refugee status determination procedure is a very, very laborious and thorough procedure to make sure that whatever decision that we arrive at is the right decision. And so I cannot stand here and tell you in a month or two all those refugees who are demanding RSD will be given.
But those they've been there for about 40 days. Why did you allow them to be there for all these days?
The police indicated that we had written to them. That was a while ago. But right from the day that they went to the UNHCR premises, we engaged them. I personally have been there a number of times, spent hours with them, explaining things to them, asking them to go back to the camp so that we address all the concerns that they have, and they have totally refused.
They've totally refused. What's going to happen to the children and the women especially?
The children particularly were a big concern to us, because where they were sleeping, they were exposed to mosquitoes, they were playing in the roads, anything could happen to them. And so it's actually better for them to be returned to the camp.
Okay. About the police and the kind of force they use and the way they evicted these people from there, they say minimum force. But the visuals that you've seen on the TV, obviously doesn't look like minimum force, does it?
I actually commend the police for the way they've handled the whole situation, because I can assure you, I can tell you that the aim of the refugees and the asylum seekers is to make it appear as if they're being brutalized. But I don't think that anybody was brutalized.
But that's not fair for you to say so, because when you say, when I am being brutalized, and you say that I wanted to be brutalized, that's not fair.
No, I didn't say they wanted to be brutalized. I said they wanted to
make
appear,
it look like.
Yes. And so then
but that's a bit difficult to determine, quite frankly.
Well, I have worked with refugees for a long time.
So you think that they deliberately try to engage the police so that it will look as though...
I think you're focusing on what you shouldn't focus on. What I'm saying is that the police have actually handled the situation very well.
Well, that's
Nobody
what you
was
say.
Injured.
Oh, no, hold on. That's what you say. But for all of us as human beings, and for all of us who see other human beings being manhandled, we know what manhandling is, and that's what I'm trying to engage you on.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen the video we just
No,
played?
I've seen the video. I haven't heard that anybody has been injured or anybody was injured in the process.
Okay.
And that is because the police were very tactful.
But if you say that, you saw the video, the fact that nobody has been injured doesn't mean that the way they were handled, some of them were handled in the videos that we've seen, is appropriate and doesn't do anything to their human rights as human beings. Would you agree with that?
I don't know how else you'd have wanted them to be moved away, because I have seen other situations where people have actually been treated badly.
No. And if someone is treated badly, Mr. Paddy, I beg your pardon, if someone is treated badly somewhere, it doesn't mean that treating other people badly anywhere, it makes it any better. Now, when you want to move somebody away from a location, I'm not a police officer, but if I am resisting, we've seen people resist, and we've seen how other people have handled, other officers have handled them. I've seen a police officer right in this video hitting somebody with the stick, with that stick that they have. You didn't see that?
No, I didn't.
And we can show you. We can show you. That is the video. And in this video, they're trying to take this. Obviously, this guy is being recalcitrant, so he's not going, even though and you know that this is what they're doing. So he's taking the guy into the vehicle, and at a point, you already had him at the front, at the entrance of the vehicle, and you start hitting him with a stick. The fear is that if we don't talk about these things, that it will continue. And that is why we're raising this issue with you.
Okay, I may be able to comment on it if I actually see it.
Yeah, if you see it, very well. I'm sure that we'll get there. But then again, there it is. I believe you see that. You see the police officer hitting the guy with a stick. And yes, they were already at the entrance of the vehicle, so just push him in if you have to.
Again, in my opinion, that's minimum force. I mean,
that's minimum force?
That's minimum force.
Is that the acceptable force worldwide?
Again, I mean, I'm not a policeman. I'm not a...
But you speak for the refugees.
I speak for the refugees, yes. And that is the reason why we encourage them, we ask them to go on their own and not put up a fight. So
based on the circumstance, you think that this is good enough?
We're happy that the situation has been cleared up, because the nuisance and the harm that was being caused in the area, nobody's talking about that one. But again, journalists, you're only focusing on how the
refugees... Not at all. That's the wrong assumption if you make it, because we've spoken about it, we've done the story. What we need to clear up is whether or not it is right for the police to apply this level of force. It doesn't mean in any way that we condone any recalcitrant behavior.
I'll have to take my time and look at the video before I can comment on it properly.
I think you should, so that going forward we don't see these happening. If we have to still get people with force, we'll still get them with force, but not hitting them when they have not hit any police officer, I think. Thank you very much, sir, for coming this afternoon. And I wish you all the best as you sort out this refugee situation. Of course, we also have to be concerned about the safety of Ghanaians, which is why the Refugee Board says they're concerned about the presence of these people where they are, also about the children that they have brought here in this matter. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty Andope. I just had a conversation with Tete Paddy. He's programs coordinator with the Ghana Refugees Board.